Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the September 6, 2016 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. It's my privilege to call this meeting to order. If you haven't already done so, there are copies of our agenda on either side of the room on the ledge there. Please feel free to pick up a copy. You can follow along with tonight's proceedings. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment, both with respect to items that are on our agenda tonight, as well as a segment that is under item number 6, which is reserved for public comments of a general nature regarding matters that are not on tonight's agenda. So the protocol is if you have a question or comment of a general nature at that point in time, we'll ask you to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and we'd welcome hearing from you. It is our proud tradition to begin our meetings by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. At this point, I'd like to ask everyone present to please rise and join us in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, for those of you watching at home or in the audience, you may notice something a little bit different tonight, and that is that we have two new faces up on our council here, and we're very excited to swear them both in officially as newly appointed commissioners serving on the Downers Grove Village Council. It is my distinct pleasure to invite a very special guest up to help with that swearing in. We have Downers Grove resident and all-around fantastic person, DuPage County Circuit Court Associate Judge Anne Celine O'Halloran Walsh, who has been gracious enough to come here tonight and swear in our two new commissioners. Judge Walsh, if you would please. And we're going to go in order of appointment. Those who have been following the press know that the council first appointed Margaret Earl as our newest commissioner. And Commissioner Earl, would you like to be sworn in, please?
It's for you. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Margaret Earl,
Having been appointed
to the office of Commissioner
in the Village of Downers Grove,
in the Village of Downers Grove,
in the County of DuPage, aforesaid, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
And without further ado, I would now like to ask our second most recent appointment, making Commissioner Earl a rookie for all of 2 weeks. I'd like to invite Commissioner Nicole Wallace to please step up and be sworn in. And her family will be joining her.
Oh.
Those look like future council people to me.
I'm multitasking right here at work. Okay. I state your name.
I, Nicole Wallace,
Having been appointed to the office
of
Commissioner in the Village of Downers Grove,
Commissioner in the Village of Downers Grove,
in the County of DuPage,
in the County of DuPage,
aforesaid do solemnly swear
aforesaid do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Commissioner
the duties of the office of Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I usually hear that during public comment. Before we call the roll on the newly constituted Village Council, I want to thank once again Judge Walsh for being here and helping swear in our new members. You've been very gracious in doing that in the past, and we greatly appreciate you doing it again. Thank you. I know you have a very busy schedule. It's always a delight to see you. And with that, it is my privilege now to call the roll for the first time with our two newest members. And I'd like to ask our fine village clerk, April Holden, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Earl?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Burnett?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Here. We have a full council. Moving right along, takes us to item 4, which pertains to minutes of prior council meetings. We have a number of different sets of minutes to approve tonight. Unless there are any changes or corrections to any of those minutes, I will entertain a motion to approve them.
Mayor Tully, I move that the council approve the 4 sets of minutes as presented on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. And we are now on item 5. I do have a proclamation I would like to read tonight and present. Whereas September 17, 2016 marks the 229th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the 1787 Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17 through 23rd as Constitution Week, now, therefore, I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2016, to be Constitution Week in the Village of Downers Grove, and urge all our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution, which they held in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. And we have no less than Carol Wanschneider here tonight, who needs no introduction, who I would love to present the proclamation to. And as always, invite a comment, but no obligation. Good to see you, Ms. Wanschneider.
Good to see you, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
I'm glad to present this to you.
Thank you. On behalf of the DAR, I say thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and our thanks to the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for being here. Now, before we get to public comments, there is one other thing I would like to do, taking this a little bit out of order. As many of you have read, the Downers Grove Public Library recently engaged a brand new director, and very excited about that. It was a good search process that was undertaken, and we are delighted to have the new director here tonight. And since I could not possibly say enough words to do her justice, I'm going to invite Julie to come down, introduce herself to the community, and we welcome you being part of the Village of Downers Grove.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Julie Milovec, and I'm the new director of the Downers Grove Public Library. Thank you all. I'm really excited to be here. We're looking forward to starting a new strategic planning process and looking forward to getting a lot of community input along the way. You have a fantastic library. It's a wonderful village and a great place to live, and I hope to continue that tradition here with your library.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Milovec. It's a delight to introduce you to the community. I know that they've already put you hard to work, so this is hardly a first occasion, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and your staff in the coming years. Thank you for being here. And just like that, we are at item 6, which, as earlier mentioned, is reserved for public comments of a general nature. If there are any members of the public who have any questions or comments they would like to address to the Village Council that are of a general nature with respect to things not on tonight's agenda, please come down to the podium, tell us who you are, and we'd welcome hearing from you. Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm Bill Robo. I live at 7800 Queens Court in Downers Grove, and have been before this dais many times, and it's a pleasure. And I jumped up real quick. I hope I didn't cut anybody off. I don't seem to be lying in the aisle, but I wanted to be the first one to address the new dais, and to hope that I'll have a chance to dialogue with each and every one of you. The new appointees, the other ones, they dialogue with me too much. I dialogue with them too much. Anyhow, since we had a little mini vacation in August, I've been anxiously awaiting to speak on a public comment on something which has caught my attention during the month of July and August. I have been fortunate enough to go out, try to grow some tomatoes and some cucumbers and so forth. And oftentimes I get up early. And it seems about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, there's a proliferation of these airplanes that come across my house above me. And they're still got their throttles open because they're gaining altitude. And if I look closely, I can see the markings from Southwest Airlines. So I know they're coming from Midway. And a friend of mine mentioned to me that recently she read an article, maybe a month or so ago, that Mayor Emanuel, the mayor of our big sister to the east, was redeploying the aviation patterns to spread the wealth, so to speak. And so I'm concerned about it. And I also thought that it would be timely because if I remember correctly from previous council meetings, Downers Grove is a member of the managers and mayors and managers of DuPage County. And if I'm not mistaken, Mayor Tully, you're the sitting chair?
Former past president. Best title to have, past president.
And I think David Fieldman, our manager, is he still sitting or is he standing too?
There are a number of members of the council that participate in various aspects of DuPage mayors and managers.
Yeah, well, I thought, since we have an active part in the DuPage managers and mayors, we would probably take an initiative to see what the other communities feel about this. And when I say there's a lot of flights, they come one after the other between the hours of 6:30 and 8, 9 o'clock. And then there's a little hiatus, and then there's another group that go around the noon hour, and there's some come midday, and then there's another flight. It's like an aircraft carrier launching their flights over my house, so to speak, because I live just about 2 miles north of Stevenson and about a mile and a half east of 355, and we're just west of 83. And, when the people stop flying from Midway, then the high flyers come from O'Hare, and they're going south. Seems as though the Midway people use the direction going south and southwest, and they go right over the wonderful confines of Downers Grove. I've been visiting a friend of mine who lives in Willowbrook, 6700 South. My address is 7800 South. And when I'm visiting there, I hear the same thing. When the windows are closed, it's very muted. But when the windows are open, like last weekend, and this glorious fall that's coming, it's a disturbance. And I would like to ask the citizens of Downers Grove, if they are listening to this comment, to address the council and to the village manager and Mike Baker also, and say that this is something that's happening, that they're experiencing in their house also. And I believe the people in Darien and Willowbrook and Bolingbrook and Woodridge and east of us in Clarendon Hills and so forth, they're all experiencing the benefits of the redeployment of the flights that are leaving from Midway and in a larger sense from O'Hare. So that was my comment. Should I do this formally in writing or?
No need. The verbal request will suffice.
It will?
Periodically, we get questions from residents about changes in flight patterns that happen both at Midway Airport and O'Hare. We do have representation on the O'Hare Noise Reduction Commission. I probably have that acronym wrong, but basically it's a group of residents and other stakeholders that are concerned about that issue with respect to reconfiguration of traffic and runways at O'Hare. We've often found that sometimes there is a reason for changes in flight patterns. There may or may not be one that has suddenly made it more noticeable than before. But that's something that through our contacts we can look into and try to let you know if there's something that is the reason behind this, and whether it's temporary or whether it's something more chronic.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Because I was listening to a news station the other day, and they mentioned that the federal government appropriated so many millions of dollars for noise abatement and insulation for the homes that are closer proximity to O'Hare. So it's a knowledgeable problem with O'Hare and the people, but they moved into O'Hare. I moved in here 48 years ago, and hardly heard an airplane. You know how that works. In fact, I hardly heard this expressway either. On a quiet morning, you can open the windows, get some breeze, and I can hear the roar of Stevenson Expressway, because we're on high ground and the noise goes up. I used to, when I first moved here, I could hear the roar of the Santa Fe Raceway. If you go back, those of you who've been living in Downers Grove a long time, you know there was this place called Santa Fe Raceway, and you could hear the stock car going on Sunday evenings and so forth. Anyhow, so much for side.
We'll look into it.
I appreciate
We'll try to
that.
figure out why your home is such a tourist attraction.
I wish it wasn't.
But thank you, because we do get this question
But
periodically.
it
We'll see if there's
involves a
something
lot
behind
of
it.
people, because
Understood.
the noise pattern, it radiates. So, thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you for your comment. Other questions or comments of a general nature? Good evening, Representative Olson. Good to
Good
see you.
evening. David Olson, 5613 Dunham Road in Downers Grove. It's been a while since I've stood at this podium and addressed the council, so it's an honor to do so. I stand here tonight just to congratulate our new commissioners, Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace. As a former member of this esteemed body, I know that it is a great honor to serve, a great privilege to serve, and I wish you all the best. If there's anything I can do as a former council member to help in your transition or an advice I can provide, happy to do so. But I do want to extend congratulations to our newest members, wish them the best, and just ask them to be thoughtful and considerate towards all the residents as they make decisions on behalf of all the residents. It's a difficult position, I know, that each of you are in, and so I just wanted to wish you all the best. It was a great honor to serve, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comment. Good evening. Welcome. Another familiar face, former Commissioner Vitimo.
Yes, I too just wanted to say congratulations to the both of you. It was an honor to serve, and I never was able to say anything because I abruptly resigned. So I just want to say thanks to everyone here, and thank you to all of you, and it was wonderful and great, and you guys are going to do great, I know it. And so just to put the rumors to rest, I'm not sick and I'm not getting divorced. And I loved my time here. Yeah, and everything is good. And, just you guys do well. I know you're going to do great. And everyone up here is really nice, and they'll help you. And there's a lot to learn. And it'll be good. So I just wanted to say congratulations. Okay.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Other questions or comments of a general nature from members of the audience with respect to items that are not on tonight's agenda? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Tully and Commissioners, and congratulations to Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace. My name is Amy Gasson. This is my husband, Dave, and we live at 5320 Benton Avenue. We're here tonight to give you a brief update on our American Foursquare initiative. As we presented at a previous Village Council meeting, Dave and I produced an inventory earlier this year of all of the Foursquares in Downers Grove and determined that there are approximately 130 still remaining. We have created a list of all the addresses of these homes and have a photo of each one as well. The map that you're up on the screen we showed last time and shows the location of each of the homes. In an attempt to create some excitement and awareness for Foursquares, we also started a Facebook page called American Foursquares of Downers Grove, and we invite everyone in the audience tonight and watching at home to visit and consider liking our page. Our most recent efforts to increase excitement and awareness involved creating a flyer, which is on the next slide. And over the last 2 weeks, we delivered this flyer to all of the Foursquares that were part of our inventory. The flyer, of which each of you is now a lucky recipient, consists of a brief description of Foursquares and their history in Downers Grove, and then it requests owners to share their contact information with us so that we can create a network for compiling and sharing as much information about each home as possible. So far, we have received about 30 responses, and we hope to receive more. As always, we really appreciate your support with our efforts. Thanks.
Thank you. And
Questions?
obviously, if my colleagues have questions, I would encourage them to ask. I'll just start and give them time to think of one by saying once again how delightful it is that we have, in real world terms, the type of community support and embracement, if that's a word, of our historic character and our traditions in our town. One of the things that we talked about a great deal when we made the recent amendments to the Historic Preservation Ordinance was the concept of celebrating our traditions and celebrating our history and engaging the community. And everything that the Friends of the Edwards House and your work, purely grassroots, really embracing that, spreading the word, creating that civic pride, celebrating what we have in town, I think is tremendously powerful, and so far, based on the number of petitions for landmarking that have been coming in, very effective. So thank you for that. There are many things that government can do, but there are other things that only a community can do, and you're demonstrating that you're being very effective by doing it as ordinary residents on a volunteer basis. And last thing, whoever's idea it was to fold this into fours, very clever. I like it.
He gets all the credit.
The marketing side of me really likes that. Yes, 4 squares. Very, very clever. Thank you. Any questions from the rest of the council? Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks.
Other questions or comments from members of the audience? Questions or comments of a general nature? Very well. Well, thank you to all those who did have some questions and comments to share with us. That will bring us to item 7, which is our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Are there any questions from any members of the audience with respect to any of the items on tonight's consent agenda? Any questions for any members of the village council? Seeing if there are none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl? Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye, the consent agenda passes unanimously. That brings us to item 8, which is our active agenda. We have a slew of items on tonight's active agenda. Beginning with item 8A as an apple, do I have a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing a transition agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a transition agreement between the Village of Downers Grove and the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council as presented.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments from members of the audience? Questions or comments from members of the village council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Nay.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes 6-1. That brings us to item 8B as in boy. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use for 1620 Ogden Avenue to permit an automobile dealership?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use for 1620 Ogden Avenue to permit an automobile dealership as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from members of the council? May I have a roll call, please? We're going to put you to work tonight.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That matter passes unanimously and brings us to item 8C as in Charlie. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance rezoning certain property located at 2200 Warrenville Road?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance rezoning certain property located at 2200 Warrenville Road as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from the audience? Just checking. Questions or comments from members of the council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That matter passes unanimously as well and brings us to item 8D as in David. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use to exceed the maximum parking ratio at the property located at 2200 Warrenville Road?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use to exceed the maximum parking ratio at the property located at 2200 Warrenville Road as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from members of the audience? Questions or comments from the village council? May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye, that matter passes unanimously and brings us to item 8F as in, 8E as in Edward. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the brew facility license classification?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance amending the brew facility license classification as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from the village council?
Yay.
So make sure that gets into the minutes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That brings us to item 8, that motion passes. That brings us to item 8F as in Frank. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the extension of a special use to authorize construction of a multifamily structure at 5100 Forest Avenue to February 18th, 2017?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance authorizing the extension of a special use to authorize construction of a multifamily structure at 5100 Forest Avenue until February 18th, 2017, as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from the village council? Roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Nay.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes 6-1. Brings us to item 8G as in Gus. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 5475, designating planned unit development number 53, and authorizing construction of a multifamily structure with deviations at 5100 Forest Avenue?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 5475, designated plan unit development number 53, and authorizing construction of a multifamily structure with deviations at 5100 Forest Avenue as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from the audience? We have a question. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Mark Toman, 1109 61st Street. I didn't know which motion to bring this up on, but as long as the developer is reopening the discussion on 5100 Forest, I think it would behoove the village to defer approval of the changes until they had a chance to sit down and talk to them about potentially changing the provision where, I think it's special use, where the village is allowing them to use on-street parking for loading and unloading. This was a first in the village, first time it ever happened that the village allowed this to happen. They're also being allowed to load their garbage on the street, on Gilbert. I think this would be an opportune time to revisit those gives, and in light of the give that they're now asking for, see if they will reconsider moving their loading unloading zone, which is required by the municipal code, to be on their own property, to take that and move it onto their own property. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Other questions or comments from members of the audience? Questions or comments from members of the village council? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Nay.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The matter passes 6-1 and brings us to item 8H as in Henry. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 5476, authorizing a special use for 5100 Forest Avenue to permit construction of a multi-family structure?
Mayor Tully, I move that this council adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 5476, authorizing a special use of 5100 Forest to permit construction of a multifamily structure as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments from members of the audience? Questions or comments from members of the village council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Nay.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The matter also passes 6-1 and brings us to the end of our active agenda. Our next item is our first reading or our workshop agenda. We have no items under tonight's agenda in light of getting to celebrate our newest members. So I will move right to item 10, which is the mayor's report. I have two things I want to report out. Number one, many in the community either saw, heard, or read about an exercise that was conducted on August 31st here in the village. It was a simulated exercise, real-world simulated exercise of a emergency hazardous chemical spill that was a scenario in which a BNSF tanker car had run into a vehicle and derailed pretty much in the middle of our downtown. There were 20 different agencies, including the Village of Downers Grove first responders, as well as many from other areas, both the state, county, and other levels, also the federal government. A number of different agencies and organizations were involved to test the plans that we all have with respect to the question that we get asked occasionally from people in the community: what if? What if a train car derailed in the middle of our downtown? And what if that train car was filled with flammable or hazardous materials? What would we do? Do we have a plan? Are people trained to respond to it? And when I was asked that question many times over the years, my answer was, of course we have a plan, because we do have a plan. And yes, we have top-notch first responders, and both within this community and adjoining communities, who would respond quickly and effectively if that were ever the case, God forbid. It's great to have a plan, and it's great to know that we train for it, but to actually see the exercise play out in a simulated environment, and what would happen and how people interrelate and what they learned from that experience in order to even improve the plan and the responsiveness was truly amazing. And I must say I couldn't be prouder of everyone that participated and handled that situation, and to actually see it work out with simulated fire, simulated injuries, simulated toxic chemicals, spraying the foam, all our first responders being involved, the support of the neighborhood and understanding this was an exercise and inconveniencing themselves while this was taking place. The value of that training exercise was simply amazing, and I know that there will be many, many lessons learned that will be shared. And it wasn't just something that we learned from. All those different responding organizations that participated, they learned as well. So it really was a benefit to the entire area on how to handle these issues should they ever arise. And God help us, I hope to never see a real one in Downers Grove or in any other community. But I want to thank not only our outstanding first responders and our staff for coordinating it, but also the District 58 for hosting the command center, so to speak, and people like me who they just wanted to keep out of the way during this exercise. But we literally went through the whole scenario as if it really happened, and I thought it was tremendously helpful. And I can say without hesitation that yes, there is a plan. Yes, it is one that will be implemented if ever needed by highly trained professionals. And I'm very glad that we volunteered to host this exercise. There were even other agencies that you wouldn't think of, such as DuPage County Stormwater Management, that used the opportunity to test, well, what if this chemical was leaking into our sewers after the spill? What would they have to do in order to keep it out of the waterways of DuPage County? And just even thinking of what other agencies might be involved in that and putting it to the test, I think was terrific. So thank you, kudos to everybody that made that happen. I think it was another point of Downers Grove pride, so thank you. And my second item is another point of Downers Grove pride, and it's my privilege, having the mayor's report go before everybody else's, that I get to thank and welcome our new commissioners first. Let me begin by saying that I greatly respect and appreciate anyone who decides to take this plunge. Whether running for office or putting your name for an appointment is never easy. It takes commitment, it takes a fair amount of courage, and I would say just a sliver of insanity. It's not easy, and I think folks often have one view when they're on the other side of the podium, and then when they get to this side of the podium, they realize that it's not easy to balance all the different competing interests that we have, but we do it for our community, and we do it for the betterment of the neighborhood that we live in and for our village. And I really appreciate those who step up to serve, because it's very important, and it's the only way that we can continue to keep Downers Grove a great place to live, work, play, and thrive. So I want to welcome both Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace to the dais. We know that your appointments are for a relatively brief period of time, but we hope to continue to work with you in the future, but that ultimately will be up to the good people of the village of Downers Grove. You don't have a lot of time to get up to speed. You don't have a lot of time to learn what's going on, but having spoken with both of you at length, I know that you have the commitment, the capacity, and the dedication to get where you need to be in order to help us as a body make the important decisions that we need to over the coming months, which include small things like the fiscal 2017 budget. But other than that, nothing really important. Very pleased to be serving with you, look forward to working with you, and thank you for both of you for stepping up to the plate. But my biggest thank you is for the members of each of your respective families who are in the audience, because I really want to thank you for sharing each of them with us. As someone once said, the village is a jealous mistress, and they will be spending a fair amount of time on village matters. And we appreciate those sacrifices that you'll be making alongside them through their time up here. So congratulations and welcome to both of you. And with that, that ends the mayor's report. That brings us to item 11, which is the manager's report. Mr. Fieldman.
Thank you, Mayor Tully. No report this evening.
Very good. And I don't know how you keep getting dropped off, but we're supposed to have a village attorney's report. Ms. Petrarca, any report tonight?
No report, thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Then we will turn to item 12, which is council member reports. This is an opportunity for members of the village council to share either goings-on or other items of interest with members of the audience, or to report out on something related to their roles as liaisons to other different bodies. I will save our newest members for last. I'll start with Commissioner Jose tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to join in the welcome to Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace. Obviously, there is a lot to get up to speed on, but I have no doubt that you'll do it quickly and with great skill. I'm looking forward to serving with both of you, and as has been said already, if you ever have any questions or want to bounce an idea, I'm always available, as I know everyone up here is. So, again, welcome and congratulations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. As is often the case, Mayor gets it pretty much just right. So the only thing I really have to add is thank you, genuinely, and welcome. It's, you're doing your village a favor, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a very special evening. It's full of promise and hope. I look forward to working with Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace, and I wish them well as they accept their new responsibilities. I look forward to working with them, and I offer my support and assistance. The last several weeks were quite busy, but they were not rushed. Some may want to cast doubt on the process, but there's a saying, if you find what you're looking for, then stop looking. And I think we did an excellent job in finding Commissioner Earl and Commissioner Wallace. There's also a corollary to that. It says if you have a problem with the process because you can't find someone in your own image and likeness, well, the problem isn't the process. This is the time of year, starting September. We get into the budget season, and I always ask that, and especially since we have new members, I always ask the public that you provide your questions, your issues, your comments, and ideas to help us through not only the budget but the other processes that we have. There are people out there that I don't know that I don't know what they're advocating, but they are asking a lot of questions, and they're doing it on social media. We meet 3 times a month, first 3 Tuesdays of the month. We have a lot of extra meetings coming up. On each and every agenda, we have public comment, which is time for those ideas, those questions, those comments. And we appreciate if you would come up at those times and bring those ideas, et cetera, to us. Also, those people who are skulking about social media that have questions, they're very welcome to come up here, and I'm sure they will, one of us, especially the mayor, will give them a very solid answer. We are a very transparent organization, and we don't need just the social media to provide answers. We can do it right here in public on cable. So I wish you both good luck, and let's move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner White.
Well, first, I'd like to start by echoing what everyone else said regarding our 2 new appointees. I think they'll do an excellent job, and I won't go much further than to say, on a minor note, I'll say congratulations. On a major note, I'll say thank you. That having you here really will help us do our work, and hopefully we will get a cross-section of the entire community. But I want to switch a little bit, and I'd like to publicly thank Mayor Tully for his leadership throughout this process. We have a very busy agenda between now and the end of the year, and we had a great many, 17 or 18 applicants altogether, something like that.
17.
Yeah, we spent a great deal of time looking at written applications and doing interviews, and just, I don't want to belabor this, I just think, that my own opinion, observing it from the inside, is that Martelli showed tremendous leadership in getting us to where we are now. And it is my hope that we'll work well together from now going forward, and we have a lot to do, starting now going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Before turning to our newly minted commissioners, I want to remind everyone that immediately following this meeting, which will adjourn shortly, I promise you, there is a reception for both of our new commissioners that will be held in the committee room just to the east of where we are seated right now, and obviously everyone, friends, family, and attendees alike are invited to join and participate in welcoming our new commissioners. I'm, again, just going to go in reverse order of appointment. I'm going to start with Commissioner Wallace and ask you if you have any report tonight.
I have no report, but I would just like to say that I'm very grateful and humbled and excited to begin this journey with this wonderful group of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Earl.
Grateful and humbled for sure. And I walked into this knowing that it was a lot of work. And hope I'm up to it. I can't follow Commissioner Olson because there was 3 of him. He was everywhere all the time. And he will be missed, but gosh darn it, I'll do my best and to try to be there and to try to listen and talk with the people. I've already made it to a coffee with the council and a downtown management luncheon, and well, met a lot of nice people. We've got a art festival coming up for the downtown this weekend, so maybe I'll see you out and about there. There is the yard sale at the Hummer Park. They have, once a year, they have their Hummer Park all Downers Grove yard sale at the park. And so if you're feeling up to it, wander over to the park and see what's going on there. And that's about it.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, since you did mention it, and I don't know how you let me all get away without mentioning it,
I didn't.
the Downers Grove Downtown Fine Arts Festival is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lots of things going on. Hopefully we'll have weather like we did this past weekend. Please come on downtown. Enjoy the farmers market as well as the Fine Arts Festival. There's lots of things to do in downtown Downers this weekend. So please come on down and enjoy. We hope to see you all there. And with that, our business being concluded, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Martelli, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned, and good night. Please join us next door.